Hello. All right, we are going to talk about something that I was discussing with one of my maintaining coaching clients that I think is super helpful. So I have a maintaining coaching client, and we had this long discussion about why it was a good idea for her to start bringing in bagels and bread and ice cream and things of that nature, because a lot of those foods she has a lot of lower brain chatter around, and she is fairly new to maintenance. And this is something actually currently right now on my roster. I at least have 3 or 4 people that are in maintenance that I am working on this exact skill. So you can get a jump start on this. So many people, because they've been on so many diets, have a lot of issues with different food groups or different foods. And this causes a lot of people to regain weight in maintenance. So a lot of times we think when somebody gets to their goal weight, they have mastered binge eating, they're in a good place with food. That is not true. Please hear me on this. That is not true. We are up to over 114 maintainers in the Half Size Me community. This is something that comes up pretty regularly. Most people can get to a weight goal and still have disordered thinking about food, disordered ideas about food, and still be binge eating. As a matter of fact, I have a client right now, she's lost weight. She's averaging 1 binge per week. She's in maintenance. She wants to get to 0 binges. So we have this kind of preconceived idea, I think, that when somebody gets to goal, all things are seemingly okay with the relationship with food, how they eat, all that kind of stuff. And I don't see that as being true. Usually as a coach, what I am doing, like right now I have a client, her homework assignment, 2 potatoes per week. She laughed at me. She's like, okay, I can do this, because she has a lot of stories in her head about potatoes. She came from a very rigid diet in her past that told her all carbs were bad, all potatoes were bad. And please hear me, I know this can be very lower brain triggery for so many reasons, but I am telling you, if you want to keep your weight off long term, getting to a neutral place with all food is really important, really is important, because the dieting phase for most people, let's just say somewhere between 6 months and 2 years, like say that's the average, right? You can do almost anything for a short period of time. But when you're looking at 20 years out, 30 years out, 10 years out, if you really see certain things as not being okay, the likelihood, the gamble, right, is that I can maintain that level of rigidity with food indefinitely. And that is not what I see. I always see people that struggle and gain some weight back because real life happens, eating out happens. And when I talk about rigidity with food, I'm not just talking about just one food type. I'm talking about the control around eating out versus eating at home, having to weigh everything on the food scale, like there has got to be a level of learned flexibility in this so you can maintain your weight long term. Please do not put this off till you get to your goal weight. Try doing it now. Like when I was in my weight loss journey, I really understood this idea. I really was working on mastering this idea of calories in, calories out. And I slowly changed my dieting, like what I would eat over time. But if I kept to that one golden rule, it made food more neutral, which is super good, because now that I'm in maintenance, there's no foods I feel that are off limits. If I choose not to eat something, it's because it doesn't feel good in my body. That's a totally different driver than having a fear around certain foods. And I would encourage you to go from that degree or go from that perspective. So when you get to maintenance, you can really like kind of just settle into a calorie target and say, okay, what foods do I like? What foods don't work for me? And as your body ages and changes, that list might change as well, okay? So there's nothing to say how you have to eat, but where I get super concerned is this idea of I can't eat at these times, I can't eat out, I have to weigh measure all my food, I can't have carbs, can't have this, can't have that. All that stuff, okay, could eventually lead to overeating, binge eating, could create some disordered problems for you. So do never think that if you just hit your goal weight and you're maintaining, everything is fine. It's not. You can work on these behaviors and things now. You don't have to choose to eat potatoes 24/7, but if you have a genuine fear of potatoes, try putting them in your diet and getting past it. Even if you don't like them, you could just work on them getting neutral. That's what I'm talking about, a neutrality with food. The more food is neutral, the better served you're gonna be. When you are feeling like you have to control everything, try putting yourself in a situation where you don't control everything. Maybe go to a restaurant you've never gone to before. Maybe go to somebody's house for dinner without knowing what's gonna be served. Try different things where you have to navigate an uncomfortable feeling with food. Because then when you get to maintenance, you've already done some of this work as opposed to putting it off to the very end. And so I really want to get this message out because, like I said, right now I have an unusually large amount of maintainers on my roster, all of them struggling with the same thing. So what that kind of tells you is getting to goal is a great achievement, but there's a lot more work to be done. And we don't have to put it off to the very end. We can start working on it right now. And that's what I would encourage you, because keep in mind, these are the habits you're going to be doing long term. So the sooner you can get to a good place with all food, even if you don't want to eat it all the time, where you don't see it as bad or not okay or whatever the terminology is you're using, the better served you're going to be to maintain long term. So I hope this message helps. You guys have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.